Lewis from The Athletic and theathletic.com. He'll be here momentarily, and the conversation will be of the joyous variety, talking about a very good Minnesota Vikings team taking on a middling Seattle Seahawks team this weekend, 3:05 KFAN, 1 o'clock for the pregame with main man Muss. It's Vikings Football Sunday. From a fantasy football perspective, how much time do you put into prognosticating weather for games coming up this time of the year, and how important is it?
I don't usually sweat it until about Wednesday, Thursday, when things get firmed up a little bit more. Mm-hmm. And then it all depends on the kind of weather, Paul. Like light snow, don't care.
Yeah.
Winds over 25 miles an hour,
Big
now
time.
I care.
Yeah.
If it's freezing rain, okay.
What about sleet?
Sleet. If it's sleet, I care. Nobody cares about sleet more than I care about sleet.
I do.
Sleet's a big factor. Mm-hmm. And I care when the playing surface gets slippery.
Yeah.
And that can also be a factor for me as well. But mostly don't let it change my rankings too much unless the weather's really severe, excluding kickers. So if you're in a league that still uses kickers, now I'm out. I don't want sleet. I don't want cold rain affecting my kickers, planting foot, range, stuff like that.
Now there is a PC in patronizing Covenant. Okay, were you patronizing me in the opening segment when I told you that I like the Chicago Bears to beat the Detroit Lions? I'm not grandstanding.
Nope.
I'm not being Commons, Barney the Purple Dinosaur. I'm not being Pawn or Palm. I'm not, I hope to be your favorite cheerleader, but I'm not being the Vikings cheerleader when I say that. I've thought a lot about this over the last couple of days, vocal maintenance days specifically. A lot of time at Target Center last night to think about a lot of things other than basketball with the way that game developed last night. So I was thinking about it last night. But you're not placating or you're not placating me by agreeing that you give the Bears a little bit of a chance in this game. Right?
I'm going to break that game down for Fantasy Football Weekly, and I've got strong starting grades for the receivers, especially.
Yeah.
I think the passing opportunities here are going to be copious for this team. The Lions are normally a really good run defense, but the loss of the interior lineman, help me with this.
Aleem McNeil. Yeah,
it's a big loss.
Yeah,
it's a big loss.
It's joining us now from The Athletic is Alec Lewis at Alec_Lewis via the tweet machine. Please follow him as 9 to noon does. Let's pose for a picture.
Your hair looks good today.
Thank you. So do your glasses.
People have asked me in the crowd what you put in your hair, and I had to say I don't know what you put in your hair.
It's a Veda forming cream.
There you go.
Cream. If anybody wants to know.
Now you know.
All right.
Question answered.
The guy's freaking out over there. He's pumped.
Well, there's a rub it out portion of the equation that is very key.
Stop now.
Where you put it in, and then all of a sudden you give it a little while, and then you got to rub your fingers through it, so it gets a certain way.
Yeah, the Vikings play the Seahawks this weekend.
Good to see you. Hopefully the Vikings offense shows up more promptly than you did for your 11 o'clock segment today.
Wow.
All right, 3-2. He's compensated so well for it.
Right.
Why would he make it a priority? Okay, 3-2. It's not that I'm talking myself into it. It's not that if I weren't associated with the Shield that I would roll 90 minutes south or catch a flight to Vegas and put 10 grand on it. However, I truly believe the Chicago Bears beat the Detroit Lions this weekend, and then I think the Lions are going to get themselves kind of right against San Francisco, but that'll be a meat grinder. I just think we've talked about the elasticity or lack thereof all year with the Lions, where Hutchinson, Anzalone, this, that. Now it's Aleem McNeil.
Yep.
Yeah, DJ Reader was gone for a while, and Onzarike, and they just lose like their twos and their threes. And Malcolm Rodriguez, the linebacker, and they overcome it. They're down 2 of their top 3 corners. Carlton Davis, who I think is their best corner. I like Arnold a lot, but too many penalties, too handsy, and he's a liability against the run at this stage of his career, from what I understand. But I'd like him on my team. I think he's going to be really, really good. Carlton Davis is the better of the 2 right now. He's out.
He's out. You know who's replacing him, Paul?
My man fractured his jaw. Well, then their third corner, Khalil Dorsey, he's out.
Right. You think the Bears are going to win?
I think Bears are going to win the game outright.
You saw the Bears on Monday night.
Yeah.
You were there.
I also saw the Lions against the Bills.
Yeah, that's fair. But that was also the Bills.
And these are also the Vikings.
No, the Bears.
The last time those two teams played, funny, I think the Vikings won.
No, I think the Bears are just an absolute mess. I think
Okay.
if they could, they would just sim to the end.
Right. Everybody on the third floor at Twin Cities Orthopedics Performance Center, please turn off your radios.
No.
Book my bet.
No, it's not a Vikings thing. I just think the Bears.
Book my plus 240 on the money line, and I'll run it right through you.
I don't know what I can do and what I can't do.
Love you.
No, I just don't think the Bears right now, offensively, I don't really know what they're doing at all.
Okay.
Defensively, they've totally fallen off since Matt Eberflus.
You probably will be right. I mean, the Lions are favored by 7 points, and they should win.
There's no question that the Lions, at some point, you can't make up for all of the losses that they've had.
It's the Montgomery bit that gets me. And the corner. Who were you talking about, Charch? You were like, replaces Charles.
Well, you know the book.
Is
you
it
know the
Vildor?
book on Kindle Vildor, right?
Wow.
The book is he's bad.
I just think Ben Johnson against that Bears defensive coordinator. The Bears, I think their defensive
Eric
coordinator.
Washington bit.
Well, he came to the press conference like the first time the Vikings played the Bears. I watch all the press conference of the opposing team.
Yeah, I like it. Did you see Caleb Williams after the game?
I did
his
not.
Press conference. Yeah, I've watched 2 of his press conferences now with the last couple of weeks. Man, he's really sharp, but I like how he takes a deep breath before he answers a question. And he's calculated, but he gives you honest, vulnerable answers. He really impresses me.
Well, I've said this before in writing, but Caleb, if you talk to people around him, and I did around the draft, this guy, for all of the stuff, the pain in all the stuff, like him freaking out on the sidelines after just taking a hit, he really wants to be coached hard. It's part of the reason pre-draft, he told people close to him, Kevin O'Connell was the guy he wanted to be coached by because he thought he would coach him as hard as possible. That was something that was legitimately said behind the scenes. To your point, the Washington defensive coordinator guy for the Bears against Ben Johnson, to me, that's
good.
Jonathan Grenard against whatever that left tackle's name against the Bears. It's just it's not a fair
guy.
It's not a fair fight.
I understand that, and that's why you need to give 7. And that's why the Lions, despite all the omissions, are ballyhooed. There's no doubt about it. I'm just saying the elasticity eventually for anybody will break. Okay? And it has a breaking point, and that could be good. Because, it could look back, Mission Mardi Gras, and look back to, that Soldier Field game. And we got killed by Buffalo, and then we lost to Chicago. And then here's what changed from there, and we got X amount of players back. David Montgomery is as important to this football team and what they want to do as Aiden Hutchinson. And the reason I lay it out like that is because the identity of the team is offense. And whether it's Brass and Knuckles or Thunder and Lightning, whatever they're calling
Sonic and Knuckles.
Sonic and Knuckles, the stupidest nickname ever.
It's awesome.
I like it.
Okay, well, Sonic's going to miss Knuckles. Okay?
That is true.
Sonic's going to miss Knuckles, and now all of a sudden Sonic may lack its boom because Sonic has to play more, and the effectiveness, you can do different things with defensive players when you don't have Boom or Knuckles, whatever his name is. So I think McNeil, yes, but I think the Montgomery omission this week, moving forward, I'm going to give them a lot of the benefit of the doubt. This individual week, I think they're in a little bit of trouble.
I'm actually with Paul on this one.
You think the Bears are going to win too?
I think 55-45.
I probably
not the
should
score.
couch
I'm
it.
saying percent.
Yeah, I probably should couch it and be like, I wouldn't be surprised if the Bears win.
No, you're on the radio. You got to go on a limb.
No, I don't know. The only thing I have to do is die.
I go on the limb.
The only thing I have to do is die. I choose to do the rest of everything else in my life. And I'm choosing to say I believe the Chicago Bears are going to beat the Detroit Lions this weekend. And if everybody wants to line up and take the Lions on the money line, minus 280. If you want to run your $28,000 to win $10,000 on the Lions, Paul Charchian will take all of that action between segments.
Yeah, 3 weeks ago, the Bears almost beat this Lions team when the Lions were healthier
and I forgot
on
that.
Thanksgiving, and it came down to it came down to a botched final drive, and Matt Eberflus was fired. How much should it bother you or anybody? Because I'm really conflicted on this. When Caleb Williams slumps over on the bench, and a lot of people are pointing at that, along with some of the other
body language.
Body language.
It's not body language. He was in pain.
He was in pain, but Kirk Cousins has been destroyed a billion times by a terrible offensive line, and you don't see him slumping over on the bench. I feel like I don't know quite what to make of it. His detractors are pouncing on him for this.
You can't. I mean, like, what do you expect if you're going to be scrambling all the time, just the way he is? Like, you're gonna get obliterated by Jihad Ward the way he was. Funny little moment yesterday at practice. We're standing in the indoor facility. Jihad Ward, the edge rushers are warming up. Have you gotten to meet Jihad Ward, by the way?
Yeah, probably 3 words, and those are the only 3 words I've shared because he intimidated me.
This guy is very interesting. He points over to me. He goes, "Hey, hop in for a rep." he's like, they got like a circle thing they're doing the pass. I'm like, I don't know, man. I think I'm all right. Then I said to him,
I think I'm all right.
We were just like talking. You were there, by the way. You were talking to Justin Jefferson.
I wasn't.
And
Ryan Gregson.
Yeah, Kevin O'Connell, Ryan Gregson.
Mm-hmm.
But Jihad Ward, I said, was that he crushed Caleb on one of those, the scramble that made him keel over on the bench. And I asked Jihad Ward, I said, was that the hardest hit you've ever put on somebody? We're just like talking on the sidelines. Yeah. And he's like, oh, no, not at all. He said, but I'm glad I wasn't flagged for it because he's like, I almost landed on him with my body and I didn't. But he's like, Jihad Ward said this. I don't know. I mean, it was not on the record, but it's fine. He's like, what does he expect when he's scrambling around like that? Like, I'm going to light him up. And, But I don't, to your point, I don't like everybody gets hit. This is football. You can't be on the bench. I mean, I guess if you're in pain, then go to the medical tent or something. I just don't like the optics of that. If you are the leader, everyone looks at you if you're in that position. If you're Caleb Williams, and so I didn't really love that.
Right. I mean, camera's always on you, and for a guy that does have his detractors around, how he handles himself. Not like way off the field, but just marginally off the field, like going into the stands with his mom and stuff like that. That's you got to be really careful about the optics.
Well, some of that I don't freak out about because there. I mean, you never know, but in terms of like sitting on the bench the way he was in that game, leaning over, and I'm telling you, he got lit up. There's no question. But you mentioned Kirk Cousins. The amount of hits that guy used to take.
And big hits.
I was thinking about this the other day because I'm thinking about which teams the Vikings might play in the playoffs. And let's say it ends up being Washington. I was thinking about that 2022 game in Washington. Kirk goes back. Deron Payne, Jonathan Allen. Oh, these guys like obliterated Kirk that day. And he just kept coming and they ended up winning that game. But to me, a quarterback taking hits, that's the name of the game.
Alec, when this happened in the game last week, I immediately thought of you.
Oh, boy.
Josh Metellus, it's early in the game, lines up at nose tackle. And he buried Bears center Coleman Shelton on that play.
Metellus did?
Yeah, Metellus.
Like he trucked him and knocked him back?
He trucked him, knocked him back, and then got to Caleb Williams. Yeah. And I'm like, this is such an Alec Lewis kind of moment right here with Josh Metellus playing nose tackle.
Well, I mean, it's funny because people view him as a safety, but especially with Ivan Pace out the last 3 weeks, he is really just a linebacker and a defensive line guy. That is where Josh Metellus has lived these last few weeks. And I thought he flew around in that game Monday night beyond knocking Coleman Shelton on the ground, obviously. I thought Josh was great. And I mean, really, the defense overall in that game, it's just, I felt like to stopping the run, they were better than they've been in the last 2 weeks. In coverage, I didn't think they were challenged a ton. And I laughed because at the end of that game, I don't know if you guys noticed this, but they put in all the backups, essentially. You had, Dwight McGlothern out there.
It was 6.5 minutes to go.
Yeah.
We come out of break, and I'm like, hey, Theo Jackson. Then I looked around, and I'm like, hey, it's Nudie. Dwight McGlothern. And
he's
awesome
on Keenan Allen.
All out.
Dwight McGlothern just lining up against Keenan Allen. But I laughed because that was, one of the first points in that game where Flores did the 8 guys on the line of scrimmage, cover 0. And it was like he put in the backups and it's like, all right, guys, one-on-one coverage, let it rip. It was a classic Flores
That's
move.
Fantastic. That's Alec Lewis from The Athletic and theathletic.com. It is Alec, with a C, Alec _Lewis to follow him via the tweet machine.
Your handwriting's getting better.
I forgot to text you last night because given the minimal amount of friends that you have, given you just got here from Alabama within the last year and a half, Anniston go crazy by way of Andover. You like to go to Wolves games. Did you go to the Wolves game last night?
Did not go to the Wolves
Didn't
game.
attend.
No, but
Because I was there with my son,
Oh, you
and
were?
I was looking at the media area to see if maybe you were pondering a sidebar for Johnny Athletic or whatever. You weren't over there, but I forgot to text you.
No, Krasinski. It was a grind night for him. I don't know if you've seen the story that he wrote from the game. It's up on theathletic.com. He did a heck of a job. I was not bothering him.
Did you watch?
I watched a little bit.
Did you watch?
I kind of got.
I turned it on 2 or 3 times. Mostly I was watching the football game, which
Yeah.
is bad, but
Yeah.
it was
Yeah.
ugly.
Wolves were up by 6 points at one point at the end of the first quarter, and they got outscored 42-8.
I didn't like.
It was unbelievable, this swarm, this tidal wave that just enveloped us.
I don't know if you saw any of the post game. Like I've seen some videos on Twitter of like Anthony Edwards in the post game, and
And how is Aaron Freeman?
I like Aaron Freeman, really nice
How is
guy.
Sarah Perez?
They're great,
Fantastic.
I did not like some of the comments that I was seeing.
I gotta watch
some of the video.
Really?
What do you mean?
They were
Like
asking
from who?
They were asking about the offense, specifically
Yeah.
to Anthony Edwards.
Yeah,
and
Edwards, with all due respect, and I love Anthony Edwards, with all due respect, he should not have played last night. I mean, honestly, if you are going to be that disengaged because Julius Randle has decided to shoot all the shots early, hey, the fan has learned Julius Randle's a ball hog. Okay?
Breaking news.
Yeah, that's breaking news for all of us, right? And Anthony, and I love Anthony, man, but he had nothing last night. It was unbelievable.
they asked him in the post game, some of the reporters, they're like, what do you see with the offense? And then he kind of came back with like have you guys asked coach that? It was just kind of a weird.
Yeah.
I just didn't love it. And it's like all year I haven't loved the vibe. I don't know if there's not enough space on the floor. I don't know if they expected DiVincenzo to be a better shooter. I don't know if Nas, I don't really know, but it's been interesting. At the beginning of the year, it was like the defense is nowhere nowhere in terms of what it had been.
Then
now
it got
the
better.
offense,
Yeah.
now the offense is a problem. It's like playing golf, where it's like today, if I just putted well, it's like if you were good, then you would putt well and drive well, but you're not good.
Is it the end of the equation for the how? No, but I mean, I don't care what part of the season it is. To have Karl Anthony Towns and Tom Thibodeau roll in here, they tried to win the game by 60 points. Okay, they wanted to win the game by 60 points. And I left that game, man, because there have been personality traits or things about Karl Anthony Towns ever since he's gotten here that I just haven't liked. And he's had some big box score to him. Last couple of years, things have gotten a lot better for him. I texted Nordo last night saying to him that, and I like Julius Randle, okay, and I was a fan of that trade, and hopefully will stay a fan of that trade. I like Julius's toughness. I like Julius's ability to score in tight quarters in close games late. Hopefully we get a chance to see that sometime. However, what I saw last night, I would take all of Karl Anthony Towns' whining, negative, entitled, me-first personality quirks I couldn't stand before I will take what I'm seeing right now. Mm-hmm. I mean, what I texted Nordo last night was, and I may be wrong with this, and I haven't talked to Finch or anybody about it.
How is Tim Connell?
Tim's doing great. So is Mike Inori. I'm to the point. I think Anthony Edwards hates playing with Julius Randle. I think he hates having him on the team. I think he hates playing with him. I think he hates having this situation because he doesn't know when he's going to get the ball. And like with Karl Anthony Towns, for all of the giggles and all of the pouting and everything, you could get with Karl like Anthony would in press conferences and be like, well, if my dog didn't turn it over 6 times, we would have won by 12. Go ahead and do that to Julius Randle. No, you're not going to. You players can self-police what needs to get better in the locker room. Karl is approachable, coachable, and I'm not saying Julius is not coachable or approachable because I don't know that. I'm not close enough to it. But I'm going to ride discernment right now and say approaching Julius Randle to ask him to not throw bounce passes in the key, don't pick up your dribble at the baseline, some rudimentary things in basketball. I just think it's tougher than with Karl Anthony Towns. So I never thought I would get to the point where I was going to say this. I really didn't, but I miss Karl Anthony Towns. And quite honestly, I'm getting to the point where I wish that trade never had taken place, and that would fly absolutely in the face of everything I said right when the trade went down.
I just like. Did you enjoy being with your son at the game? Because you're fired up, and
yeah.
I'm just kind of.
I'm not fired up.
I just hope you had a good time.
I did. My favorite part of the game, because the banker Tim Siegley was there. First Resource Bank sponsors Alec Lewis's podcast.
Incredible.
Yeah, the
FDIC member, FDIC bank.
Yeah, I was behind the Knicks bench with Smiley. Well, of course, the banker, Siegley's courtside right across from us. Of course he is. And there was a great moment last night where Karl Anthony Towns hit a end-of-shot clock, fade-away, fall-away three-pointer. Brilliant shot. Hard shot. And started yelling at somebody in the crowd or whatever. And I look at Derek and I go, wow, what got under Cat's skin? And Senor Smiley said, well, whatever he said, it got Uncle Tim to wake up. So that's the type of game it was, though. It was a snoozer, even if you're sitting courtside.
I got to tell you, too, I was listening to the show maybe an hour ago. I didn't know you played basketball, even though you said you didn't actually get on the court. I didn't really know you were a hooper.
Basketball and tennis. Those were my two games.
Really?
And I can punt.
And I can punt. Yeah. Also, I can punt.
Yeah, but I mean, I wasn't at the field house when we're done with KO today.
Yeah.
Hang out in there for a second. I'll get a football and behold.
You and Ryan Wright? What is Andrew DePaula going to snap it?
Right?
No, I'll just punt it to you and we'll watch you catch it. We'll put it on video with my shirtless 40. And then we'll pay up like 15 bets over the last 15 years.
I will not be trying to catch a punt in front of other football players.
The best.
You've owed the shirtless 40 for now 5 years?
No, longer. It's
Shirtless
Russell Westbrook was on the Oklahoma City Thunder.
Oh, man.
When Nordo conned me into that thing. But there was no expiration date on it, so it definitely will happen sometime. Just like the penultimate segment of this radio show with Alec Lewis, we will get into Vikings in Seattle.
Oh, they play this weekend. I kind of forgot.
Well, of course you did. You showed up 8 minutes late. I mean, we could have been talking about Vikings-Packers, and you would have said, oh, yeah, that's right. That game's this weekend. I'm just kidding. TheRedZone.org, by the way, for all your football coverage. If you're interested, I mean, The Athletic and TheAthletic.com. And we'll be right back. Radio, Alec Lewis, The Athletic, TheAthletic.com. With the work you put into this game, see you, Tim. With the work you put into this game, it's just gut feeling. I want your gut feeling here. All right, so Nordo's all wound up over 100% rain at Lumen.
Yeah.
And he's set to win Mad Hatter's Mad Producer Gee. I think he's going to win it. He has Jefferson and Sam Darnold, and there's going to be a lot of rain there. There could be a lot of rain, I should say. There could be a lot of rain. So, do you think it's going to rain a ton there? And how would you look at Darnold and Jefferson's game against this team this weekend? But then go ahead and put a little wind and rain in there, and good morning.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not sure if the rain, and I will, we'll see, but I don't think with Sam's velocity and the way he can throw the football, I'm not sure how much the rain, and I think he can be able to produce in those types of conditions. The question that I would have more than the environment and the climate and the weather would be, how do the Seahawks try to defend Justin Jefferson?
Right.
Mike McDonald, their head coach, a really good defensive mind, comes from the Ravens tree. Their cornerbacks are very athletic. I was watching some tape this morning, which is part of the reason I was late. And Devon Witherspoon, this guy's ability to really fly around is very, very impressive. So yep. My concern in terms of Sam Darnold and Justin Jefferson producing would be, does Mike McDonald just commit wholeheartedly to taking Justin Jefferson away, and
okay.
what does that look like?
Well, let me land the plane on this, because I think what he said to me earlier was Aaron Jones running a ton in this game, and then that, because of maybe the weather or game shape or whatever, maybe that neutralizes Darnold and or Jefferson. Can you see that? Because if O'Connell I mean, he's run more than he's thrown in games, obviously, and the run-pass split this year is a lot closer to 50-50 than I ever thought it would be. Mm-hmm. But, I mean, Kevin running, 35 and passing 22.
It's not.
I was like, who are you if he does that?
Yeah, no, I don't foresee that happening. But I do think if the Seahawks commit to 2 high safeties, the way that the Bears did a lot of that in that game and the way that the Jaguars did like a month ago, then I do think it opens up Aaron Jones. I'll also say this. I don't know if you noticed this, but Monday night, to me, that was as good as I felt like Aaron Jones has looked since early in the season. His body feels better just talking to – I asked him in the locker room, I asked him, I was like, am I crazy to think that might have been as good as you – like felt or looked? And he's like, I even watched the tape afterward, and I was like, I saw a little bit of extra gear in my head.
There was a run to the right side going to the west side of US Bank Stadium, so away from the press box and away from the Vox box. I bet you that's a play you're referencing, because when he hit that hole, it was the visible, he's super fast swoosh. You know what I'm saying? When he took off, and I said to Bursich, I'm like, damn, Aaron's got popped tonight, man.
Yeah, it just felt like it. But I think there's no question. I mean, the 2 aspects that I look for these games are if the opposing team is not going to commit maximum resources to stopping Justin Jefferson and Jordan Addison, then those guys are going to go off. If they do commit maximum resources to those guys, then I look very closely at Aaron Jones' production and T.J. Hawkinson. I
like Hawkinson a lot in this game.
I just feel like him against these linebackers. I don't know if I don't know if he's dropped a ball all year, and it has just been contested. I say all year. I know he hasn't been playing.
I know what you mean,
but I feel like he has been on it in contested catches. I also feel like he has done a good job separating against linebackers. So. The weather to me, like with Sam Darnold, who throws the ball with as much heat as he does, I don't worry about it a ton. True.
Time for 1 or 2 more for YA.
I meant to get this with you last week, so I'm going to bring it up this week. Byron Murphy. It's been the tale of 2 seasons for him. I've got some data for you. First 7 weeks, 6 games in those 7 weeks versus the most recent 7 games. His completions per game in his coverage have dropped from 6, which is a lot, down to 3, which is very good. Byron Murphy, yards per game in his coverage. First half of the season, 72, very bad. Second half of the season, 22, very good. Touchdowns allowed. First half of the season, a third per game. Second half of the season, 0 total. None allowed in the second half of the season. Interceptions per game have gone up from 0.2 per game up to half an interception per game, which is outstanding. And then quarterback rating on passes at Byron Murphy started the season at 108 and have dropped to 42. I mean, it's an amazing turnaround in a tale of 2 halves of seasons for Byron Murphy.
Yeah, it's a contract year for him, and his agent probably has to feel very good about those numbers and the fact that we're talking about him. It's funny, he has, I don't know how many interceptions, 5 or 6.
6.
He keeps all of them in the upper part of his locker. So you like walk in the locker room. He just got like balls like just sitting
Go
up
on.
there. Yeah, I knew you were going to do that.
Well, the way you looked at me when I was talking about my hair, saying after you put in the forming cream, I got to rub it out. You're the one that needs to grow up.
No, I mean, I don't know what you're talking about.
I said that and your glasses fogged.
You're absolutely ridiculous. Byron Murphy has been he's been really good. I think he makes it very interesting in terms of like this offseason, he's going to be a free agent. Cam Bynum's going to be a free agent.
Metellus.
I don't think Metellus. You guys have said that.
Am I wrong?
I don't think Metellus is supposed to hit free agency this offseason.
Okay, all right.
I need to double check that. But it to me, it's the Cam Bynum, the Byron Murphy.
Yep.
There are a lot of guys that are going to be free agents, but there's going to be there is a conversation to be had. Byron Murphy's agent is with Clutch. Cam Bynum's agent is with Clutch. So there's a lot of like crossover, but Byron Murphy, the way he's performed was the way that Kevin O'Connell envisioned when they signed him out of the NFC West a couple years ago.
Time for a half more.
Last week when we talked about defensive tackle Jalen Redmond, it was, who is Jalen Redmond? How do we... Now it's, oh my God, Jalen Redmond. Pro Football Focus, for whatever it's worth, they love this guy. Over the last 3 weeks, he's the third highest graded interior defenseman across the league.
And then they went off the TV copy, and he went back to the 15th highest rated. But anyway.
What are your thoughts? Jalen Redmond. I mean, I think this might turn into a weekly talker with this kid.
Well, it might. We might have to take a week off because he's in the concussion protocol. So
I didn't know that.
100% sure that he will play Sunday. It's a good segue into the thing that I hope we talk about, or you guys talk about down the stretch of this show.
What do you got?
The trenches in this game, to me, are very, very interesting.
Yeah, we've already talked about that. Thanks for listening.
The Seahawks front, defensive front, to me, scares me a little bit. I got to be honest. Leonard Williams.
That's because Jaron Reed played at Alabama. The last time he was fresh, he played for Nick Saban.
No, I think he has 30-plus pressures this year. So
I'm so tired of hearing about this pressure crap when teams want their players to look good. They're pressuring, but not getting there. So pressures are subjective. Sacks are not. Okay? With sacks,
no, they aren't. No.
Down goes the quarterback. With pressures, he almost got there for a 30th time.
No, it is all context dependent. A sack.
A sack is a sack.
But not if it's a free runner. Then you think a sack matters. There's no question. But pressures can force the quarterback to get the ball out.
How is Coach Pettin these days?
You talk to Coach Pettin more than I do.
I understand that, but I mean, it's not him, but other people, other places who used to be here. It's like when their guys' sack numbers are down. The pressures on the quarterback hits. I mean, those count too.
No, that's
great. Cool, but his bonus says 12 sacks and he gets $3 million.
The point I wanted to make, we can litigate this. We should do a whole podcast on pressure sacks. I'd love to do it
if you want.
No.
Why don't you like me on your podcast?
No, I love having you on the podcast. But the point I want to make is I am very down the stretch here. The interior of the Vikings offensive line is a question that I have.
Yeah.
And this is a matchup that is going to be a litmus test for me. That gives me an idea about the opponents that might be coming. The Jalen Carters, the Deron Payne, the Kobe Turners, Braden Fisk, like
Vita Vea.
There was a stat last week on Next Gen Stats that the interior of the Vikings offensive line had given up more pressures than any other interior offensive line in the entire NFL. So for me, against these guys this weekend, it's a point that it is a facet of this game that to me really matters, and it's a big one that I'm watching come Sunday.
Good having you around.
Yeah,
missed you last weekend for the O'Connell press conference on Saturday.
Good luck with the Bears this weekend, by the way. I know you're a big Bears guy,
and good luck.
They've been so good that I totally
Alabama basketball plays Fairleigh Dickinson tonight, so good luck with Antonio McDyess. I'll be pulling for him. Thank you. Hey,
good to see you.
Alec Lewis, love the guy. Does a great job covering the Vikings for The Athletic and TheAthletic.com. And we are back after this.
I can't wait until tomorrow. 'Cause tomorrow might very well be too late.
Thank you. Minnesota is so
I can't wait until tomorrow. 'Cause tomorrow could never come.
You called me PA.
Yeah.
Weird.
I know, that is weird.
How did that happen?
I think
you haven't called me PA since you were mad at me. I believe in what we were on a cruise. It was that nude beach you forced me to go to.
Yeah, Orient Beach.
Where right. And then I refused to go complete birthday suit.
Right.
On that one side, and then you got mad and said, PA, come on, just give it a try. I'm like, you called me PA. Weird.
I know, and you wouldn't shave your back.
Yeah, that's what
it was. If you're gonna go to Orient Beach, at least tidy up a little bit.
And Coob ruined a jet ski, and the guy who owned the jet ski thing was rolling tape, and I'm like, what's going to happen to his credit card? Annihilated.
Right, exactly.
Annihilated.
Yes. Kevin O'Connell has turned into the Vegas leader for Coach of the Year, Paul.
Plus 110.
He's minus 150 or so. Dan Campbell next, Sean Payton after that.
Yeah.
I think he holds on. I think he's going to hold and win this thing.
Mm-hmm. Well, I was discussing this with somebody the other day. Oh, it was Miss Katie Dempsey who's over there. Where it's these odds are not set. on looking like, hey, Lee McNeil and David Montgomery are down. Hey, the Vikings. No, they're set on money that comes in.
That's right.
Globally.
Yeah.
If it's an offsite or an offshore.com, which means, we've had a voluminous amount of money the last 2 weeks that has wagered on Kevin O'Connell to become coach of the year, to go from 12-1, then like 3 weeks ago it was 8 or 6-1.
Yeah.
And then that sucker goes down to minus whatever, plus 110, which is even money-ish. That's a lot of money on old KO.
Old KO. I think he's going to hold on and win this. Here's where Dan Campbell could end up winning.
Yeah.
With all the storyline behind all these defensive players.
Yeah.
If the Lions still run the table with 16 guys on an injured reserve,
wow,
Dan Campbell earns it at that point.
Yeah, I agree.
That's the scenario where I think he will not.
Because he would win a road game and get the situation right post Montgomery and McNeil. All right, it's the Bears, road favorite. Not great supporting road favorites, but get that one out of the way. Then you beat a Niners team that's going to be tooth and nail to win.
Yep.
And then you would beat a Vikings team, which could be a 14-win Vikings team coming to your spot looking to ruin your season and take the division.
And that's how Dan Campbell, might come down to who wins Week 18 about who gets Coach of the Year.
Right.
We're rooting for KOC because, we respect him and would like to have the recognition for him. But that's how Dan Campbell plays. Spoiler. John Payton, I think, is out of the mix.
Yeah, but that loss
last night on national television.
And that team, and then, the Vikings have beaten a bunch of teams that have losing records. But it's a different watch when you watch the Vikings than like Denver.
Yeah.
Denver's good, but it's slow and just, hey, Merry Christmas to you, brother.
Merry Christmas to you.
Love you very much. Thank you very much for the gift of your radio skills and your friendship. And I will see you at Buffalo Wild Wings Plymouth next week. Okay?
We have home store advantage next week.
Hey, Merry Christmas, everybody. Thank you for listening to KFAN when you do. On behalf of Jared Wells, Nick Madden's street team, here to serve each and every one of your desires. I'm Paul Allen. Talk to you this weekend from the Cappuccino Capital. And when we return, your Minnesota Vikings are going to have 13 victories. God bless. Bye-bye.
And that's a fact.
If it's good news or money, leave a message.
Podcast today's Paul Allen Show, or listen back to previous show and interviews by going to the iHeartRadio app or KFAN.
You wake up, put on your Ray-Ban Meta glasses. You're living all in. You realize you need coffee. So you say,
hey, Meta, how do I make a latte?
Brew 2 shots of espresso.
After Meta AI gets you caffeinated, you're ready for some beats.
Hey, Meta, play hip-hop music.
You head to meet some friends, but can't remember the place.
Hey, Meta, call Eva.
Ray-Ban Meta glasses, the next generation of AI glasses. Just say, hey, Meta, to harness the power of Meta AI. Shop now at meta.com/smartglasses.